You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, man. I'll bite your legs off!
I can take it.
Great power comes great responsibility. We have a fault. Get to the chopper! And leave. There's the flesh wound. I am the father.
And welcome back to another episode of the SludgeCast. And joining with me tonight is my co-host for Monster Movie Stompdown, Mark. Mark, say hey.
Hey.
We've got a special episode tonight. There's so much news coming out that I try to put some news things up on Facebook for everybody. But we want to have a special news night of a lot of stuff that's going on that I think is worthy of talking about. So the first topic tonight is going to be news, man, pop culture news. There's so much cool stuff happening that I want to make sure everybody's aware of it and to be checking it out. And then the second topic for tonight, we are going to be revisiting the DCEU, the DC movie universe, and seeing where it's been, maybe what some of our favorite moments was, but also where it's going. Because with some of the changes that's happened recently, I think it's worthy of talking to see what's going to happen with it, because there could be a lot. So we'll go ahead and get started, because news, we've got quite a few things we want to talk about. First thing I want to bring up is they did announce, I think this is yesterday from this recording, so Tuesday, The Punisher and Jessica Jones has now officially been canceled. We knew it was coming. I haven't watched Punisher Season 2 yet. Have you?
I have.
Well,
I'm in the middle of it.
Okay.
So
I'm second episode is where I'm at, and it's awesome so far.
Yes.
Man, it's really good, and I was like, I need to finish it, but we're trying to keep caught up on Gotham and other shows that I haven't. I'll probably binge it this weekend or something. But so it's canceled. No more Punisher. Jessica Jones Season 3 has been filmed, so they will release it, but it's already canceled. You know what I mean? They won't do anything past it. So that's it for Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, Punisher, Jessica Jones. It's, from what I've read and understand, it was actually Netflix's choice. It wasn't Disney's. I think worried about the competition with what Disney Plus has got coming up. I feel like it's a waste for some, especially Daredevil and the Punisher. Of course, I haven't finished season 2, but with season 1, those two shows especially, I think they've ended too quickly. Season 3 of Daredevil ended perfect to actually end the show, so I'm glad they ended it the way that they did. I don't know how they've ended Punisher 2 yet, season 2, but we'll find out. But hopefully they put it at a good closure, to where we're not left with something open. I think Hulu has shown interest in picking up the shows again, or possibly other shows like that. So hopefully that'll happen in the future. It's a rough move, I think, because they were too good. Luke Cage, Iron Fist, season 2 Luke Cage just didn't get much better than season 1 for me. Season 2 of Iron Fist was a huge jump from season 1, I think. Jessica Jones, I didn't watch season 2. I probably won't watch season 3 just because content-wise, it was too much for me to keep doing that show. But there were Daredevil and Punisher especially. What do you think?
Well, I enjoyed Jessica Jones season 2, so I will definitely be watching season 3. Very disappointed. Yes, Daredevil ended the way it did, but man, what a great show! It was really, really good. So disappointed that's gone. And the Punisher, I'm on the edge of my seat. Every episode is just fantastic, and that'll be a disappointment. However they end it, because I think that show could keep going. That Punisher and Daredevil, I think, could continue. I think the other 3 would taper out and couldn't stay up with them as far as content, action packed. Storyline
for some of them.
Yeah. And so I think it's a big disappointment. If Hulu picks it up and continues, maybe tries to continue on with it, that'd be great. But right now, disappointed.
Yeah, especially with, we've had Daredevil in film twice now. Right. For those who don't know, obviously, the Ben Affleck Daredevil film, which was a disappointment. The director's cut was a little bit better to bear. But prior to that, we actually had another Daredevil in one of the old Incredible Hulk films. I think it was The Trial of the Incredible Hulk. Daredevil was in it.
Yes.
Terrible costume, very similar actually to Matt's costume in season 1 and part of season 3, where it's just more the clothes and the rag over the head type deal. But still was a good portrayal in The Trial of the Incredible Hulk. So you've got those two. Then of course you got Daredevil on Netflix. He's definitely the best. With the Punisher, this is the first time I've ever felt like we're finally seeing the Punisher. I mean, you've got the 89 film with Dolph Lundgren, which was a great movie, but just didn't cut it 100% for me. I did not like Thomas Jane as Punisher. I was not a fan. I liked the next one, Warzone, but it lacked a finesse to me.
I think the Netflix series has been the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
even better than the movies.
And he's such a good character with so many stories that I just that's the biggest letdown for me is going to be the Punisher. But we'll see what happens. But it's official; it has been canceled. However, it's been canceled, but we're getting another classic Marvel character coming back in the cartoon version on Hulu, and that's none other than Howard the Duck. I'm stoked about this because I loved, the original Howard the Duck movie. George Lucas and did that movie. I loved it. I loved that movie. I sat back and watched it the other day though, and I put it on, and Sarah was like, "What in the world are you watching?" And then I go back and watch the movie, and I thought to myself, how did my parents, you being one of the two, let me watch this movie as a kid? Because there's some stuff that's not exactly kid-friendly in it. But the
worst part about it is when you get the theme song stuck in your head.
Oh my gosh!
And it would drive you nuts.
Oh man! So I loved it though. I know it got bashed big time. I mean, big time. I mean, it's not one movie that even got cult status. I mean, it's not one of those like, well, maybe they hate it in theaters, but they'll like it when it comes to DVD. Nope, not at all. But I loved it. I love the character because I stumbled upon Howard the Duck in the Man-Thing comics because being a big Man-Thing fan, and Howard the Duck made his appearances with Man-Thing, which made me love him. Then, of course, having the cool little cameos in the Guardians movies. Absolutely awesome. I was so stoked. I'm like, please bring Howard into the MCU. Like, that would be great. Disney will not do that. Yeah. There's no way. He's too much of a borderline character to bring. But he's got a status or a spot in most people's hearts. So I'm stoked that they're doing a show. I cannot wait to see what this. I'm imagining something kind of like Family Guy with Howard. What's really interesting is with Howard, the comic books it's so much dialogue, more dialogue than anything else that really happens. I mean, I remember I was reading one issue, and he's like talking to like all the governmental people on his planet before he comes back to Earth, and it's like 80 panels, it seems like, of just talk. I mean, that's just what it is. It's just dialogue. So it's perfect that they've brought on none other than Kevin Smith to do the show, which I think is great because he's the king of dialogue. For those who listen, now I don't watch the movies anymore just for content of language, but I was still am, but I don't watch his stuff. But Kevin Smith's movies, Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob, the best thing about those movies is the dialogue. He's such a good writer.
Exactly.
That's going to make this amazing. And he's talked about wanting to bring Leah Thompson back, which those who haven't seen the Howard the Duck movie, Leah Thompson played Beverly in it, who was Howard's love interest, and she was the lead singer for the band Cherry Bomb, and she actually kind of took a big hit on that, and then having to like take a role in another movie she didn't want, but she needed to kind of make a comeback. But she's shown interest in Howard since that movie. In 2016, they did Howard the Duck. I mean, they've continued doing his comics for a long time, but they brought Howard back and brought Beverly's character, like Leah Thompson, and got her approval. She was like, yeah, I'd love that. That's awesome. And apparently Leah said that at some point years ago, she pitched an idea for another movie to Marvel, and they loved it. So hopefully, Kevin wanted her in it. Hopefully she comes back. I'd love her to, reprise Beverly's role, but we'll see.
Kevin said she didn't say no, but she hasn't said yes.
Right, yeah. So hopefully, I think that'll be awesome. What do you think, Howard the Duck? I mean,
It's Howard the Duck. I mean, that's all you can say is Howard the Duck. And once you mention that name, it's it was a pretty cheesy movie, but how many years ago? We're now still talking about Howard the Duck.
Oh, yeah.
So
for those who don't know who Howard the Duck is, imagine quasi detective wannabe cigar smoking guitar playing Donald Duck. And you've got Howard. So that's pretty much the only way to describe him. He was one of the most unique characters Marvel ever came out with, I think. So that'll be interesting. I'm stoked. I can't wait to see that. It'll be really good.
It's going to be good.
Okay, next up on the movie news, because we've got a few things here. It's animated, but there's another Batman movie. And there's another Turtles movie coming out. But guess what? They're together. We are getting if those who have never seen the crossover comics, they're actually fixing to come out with a third series. There's been multiple Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Turtle comics. And they don't ever really fight. They end up teaming up in it. But they're finally bringing a movie out. And I am beyond stoked. Why? Because I can always use another Turtles film, minus Turtles 3, because it was terrible. Sorry, TJ, if you listen to this from the protest, but he loves that movie. He's wrong. And I can never get enough Batman. None of us can. I'm super stoked. It comes out next year. What I'm really stoked about is the fact that it's the same kind of way. It happens the same way Turtles come into Gotham through a transdimensional warp or whatever and team up with Batman to fight the Rogues. They've announced who's going to be in it. And so Batman and the Turtles will go up against the Joker. They will go up against the Penguin, Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Bane, and Ra's al Ghul. That is a lineup and a half right there. Now you'll have Batgirl and Robin, but in it too. But dude, like, who do you think? Like, okay, so Ra's al Ghul. Do you think that's going to be Batman against Raj or one of the Turtles?
I think it'll probably be a Turtle, maybe even Raphael.
No,
you don't. Nope. But I think Batman's still going to have to go against Joker. I mean,
you can't bring in the Turtles in between there. That's too personal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And so, what Turtle do you think?
I think Leo, because you got Ross, who, other than Batman or Oliver Queen, the greatest martial artist in the DC universe, Ra's al Ghul. I mean, he's been alive for 1,000 years. Who do you put up against? None other than Leo. He's the baddest martial artist in the Turtles universe.
Well, that's true.
You know what I mean? So you got to bring him. I see Raph going against Bane. That would be the fight, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
anger against anger. You couldn't get no better of a fight right there. I could see Mikey going up against Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Like, that would be the funniest fight to me. Because you got a funny character in Harley.
Right.
And then Mikey's having to fight the girls, which would be great. Donnie definitely gets, the Penguin or Mr. Freeze. Because I was kind of bummed that the Riddler wasn't in it. Because I'm like, that would be perfect. Donatello against the Riddler.
Right.
Yes. But, I mean, so you got Donnie. I can see him going against Mr. Freeze, scientist-wise. And then, of course, Batgirl and Robin going up against, Penguin. And then Batman against the Joker.
Right.
There's ultimate combinations, but that's what I see when I was thinking about it. I'm like, dude.
We'll see
how
that goes. It's going to be good.
The three I want to see the most: Batman against Joker, Raph against Bane, and Leo against Ra's. That would be super awesome. So I'm stoked about that. I mean, I love the animated films that DC puts out because they're really, really good. So this one's, I'm going to be pretty pumped. We'll keep it on DC for just a moment here because news hit recently. There was a teaser during the Super Bowl for Birds of Prey, and we'll get to see Margot Robbie back as Harley Quinn in that. We got Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Black Canary. We've got she's the Huntress. Then of course you got Black Canary and stuff in it. This is going to be a great movie. Like, I loved Wonder Woman because I love seeing a strong female superhero be able to take front and center stage. Because Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm stoked for Captain Marvel in like 2 weeks. That's going to be great. But Margot Robbie rides that line of anti-hero and villain, and to see her with with the Birds of Prey, it's going to be absolutely epic. But bad news came along after that. She will not be in Suicide Squad 2 or Gotham City Sirens, which is really odd because you can't do well, you can, I guess, but Gotham City Sirens is about the female villains and heroes. How do you not put Harley Quinn in that?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that whatsoever. But then not having her in Suicide Squad 2, man, she really. I loved all the characters in Suicide Squad. Even though it wasn't the best DC movie, it was still fun, and I loved seeing those characters come to life. But she stole the show.
Right.
How do you not have her in 2?
What's her reasoning for not going? Other obligations? I know she had a whole lot of problems with her outfits. She wasn't happy having to wear those short shorts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hadn't heard that, so that's news to me.
There's not been an actual statement from her. It's been released by the studio that she won't be in the movies. So I'm not real sure as to why she's not going to be in it. But either way, she's not in there.
That's a major hit right there.
Oh, huge. And I'm wondering too. I mean, you go back. I mean, Suicide Squad was James Gunn. I hope it's not for why he got fired from the Galaxy, movies and all that stuff that's going on with Hollywood right now with the Me Too movement or whatever. But who knows? I'm not sure. They haven't announced. But either way, bums me out big time. Yes. Big time. So the next one, because like I said, we've got lots of news here because there's a lot of really cool stuff. There's so much stuff happening in the pop culture world, and we're not going to honestly hit half of it or a quarter of it, maybe not even an eighth. But I just want to kind of hit the things I really am stoked about. One thing that I'm stoked about, and it's been announced for a little while, but I've not had the opportunity to really talk about it, but I think it's a perfect time because we got Stephen King's It last year, getting the second chapter of that this year. We're getting what looks to be an amazing movie in Pet Sematary. Have you seen the trailer for that yet? Oh, man.
Yeah.
That looks unbelievably, that looks so good. I put it on the TV for Sarah to see the other day, and she's like, what movie is this? And all of a sudden you see the semi-truck come by. She was like, oh, man. And she knew instantly. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be, like the clips with Zelda look creepy, man. This is going to be, it's Stephen King time. You've got new shows coming out. They want to do more movies, and he's making a big comeback. Not that I don't really think he needed to, because he never really went anywhere. His stuff has always stayed there. It's always new books and things coming off of it, but in the movies, it's big.
Yeah, Christmas time, I got The Stand on DVD, which I had it on VHS, but now we've
migrated to DVD finally.
Oh yeah,
that's one of the best films.
Oh yeah,
and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I'm talking about. CBS All Access has ordered a 10-episode adaptation of The Stand,
and I can't wait.
Oh, dude, it's going to be so good. Josh Boone, who he did The Fault in Our Stars, which I haven't seen, and I've heard mixed reviews on that. But he's also doing the upcoming New Mutants film, which looks unbelievable. Just the trailer for New Mutants alone makes me feel like I'm comfortable with him heading The Stand, because it looks like he'll drill it. I'm super stoked. I cannot wait to see what they do with this. 10 episodes, because the movie's great. Made-for-TV movie. What was it, 4 hours?
I almost considered it a mini-series at the time when
maybe
it came
was 6
out.
then?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, so it's like 6 hours, so there's a lot of story to tell, and I felt like they did, so good with The Stand. But to have 10 episodes, and you're talking, like 45 minutes to an hour episodes, I think they're going to be able to dive deeper into the book, do more like they've done with it, and make it more true to the book. It's going to be awesome to see. I'm stoked.
Can't wait.
Moon, MOON, that's going to be... the only downfall that I can see is Gary Sinise not being in it.
Yeah.
Because I love Gary Sinise. The dude's awesome. Of course, he really doesn't do anything much anymore because he does so much for the military. But it would be awesome if they brought him in it because I think it would be absolutely great.
That had an all-star cast when it came out at the time.
Yeah, it did.
So it was just fantastic.
Man, it was good. I cannot wait to see The Hand. When the hand of God comes down, dude, I don't want to see it with the graphics today. That's going to be absolutely epic. Okay, next piece of news. Like I said, we'll try and roll through these as best we can. Ghostbusters. If you haven't seen the new teaser trailer for the next Ghostbusters, you're not living life.
I have not seen it.
You've not seen it?
I have not seen it.
Dude, okay, so let's paint the backdrop first, okay? Jason Reitman has written a script. He took it to his dad. Of course, his dad worked with Ivan on the original one before, and of course, Ivan's passed away. And everyone loves Ghostbusters. The first two movies are perfect.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got his son, Jason Reitman, has rewrote the script, took it to his dad, and they're both just like, this is it, let's do it. We're ready for this. And it's totally negating the, if you liked it, I'm sorry, but the crappy Ghostbusters we got, a year or two ago. Like, I had high hopes for it, did not like it whatsoever. I was bummed out, real bummed out. It just didn't have the feel at all of the original one. And they really kind of just tried to negate the original, I felt like it didn't matter. And that's just too cold classic of a series of movies,
right,
to say, it didn't happen. So I was bummed out. So I'm glad that we've got some original people coming back. They've talked about wanting to bring some of the original cast members back, Bill and Dan and, well, Ernie. That's really all you can do. Right. I don't know, because obviously Ivan can't come back because he passed away. But a CGI ghost version of him would be great, But then Rick Moranis, can you bring him back? I know he doesn't act anymore because he takes care of his family, but you could bring a lot of people back with it. But and
he possibly could come back for this.
I think it would be great.
Yeah.
For Ghostbusters?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, that would be the one. Like, if they said, hey, Rick, you want to come do, a cameo in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? He'd be like, no. Yeah. You want to do Ghostbusters? Yeah.
I'll be there.
Are you Gozer? I love those movies. Gavin, he loves them. He'll turn it on, and he's like, he loves those movies. Yeah. So I'm stoked about it. But so the trailer came out, the teaser trailer. And so it's kind of coming up. It's all dark, and you see this barn building in the background, and all of a sudden all these lights and electrical stuff's going off, and it's almost like ghost activity, and it gets closer into the barn, and then you come up to what's clearly a car underneath a tarp, and then the tarp, like as the wind's blowing and all this ghostly stuff's happening, the back of the tarp comes flying up, and it's the back of the original car, and it said coming summer of 2020 or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, dude, I flipped. It's like, yes. So for those who don't know, it's coming, but they just released an article where Jason, because a lot of people have been talking about it too, where we're going to go, because unfortunately one of the actresses from the new one has stated some pretty bad vulgar stuff about them doing this, which is unfortunate. But she's kind of caught a lot of flack over it. But Jason has come on, and he, of course, he wrote, he's directing it. It's going to return to the continuity of the original films. It'll completely disregard Paul Feig's 2016 remake. It's going to be awesome. But he has stated that, in his own words, he wants to hand the movie, this is a quote for him, that this movie will hand it back to the fans, and that he loves the franchise. He grew up watching it. He considers himself the first Ghostbusters fan. He was 7 years old when the movie came out, and he loves it. And he wants to make a movie for my fellow Ghostbusters fans only. We are in every way trying to go back to the original technique and hand the movie back to the fans. So this is a love letter, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
I have no worries whatsoever. It's going to be awesome. Because Ghostbusters, man, is so good. Like, I would love to see, and like, man, bring back Sigourney Weaver too.
Yeah.
Bring them all back. Bill Murray especially, because he was the best. We all know, but I'd love to see them all in there. All right, so that's another one. We're gonna keep it in the spooky side for a minute, because old Guillermo del Toro, everybody knows him. Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, Shape of Water, Mimic, Devil's Backbone. The dude's, he is the most artistic and arguably, I think, the greatest storyteller in Hollywood today. His movies and his stories have just, he's never made anything bad. Everything he's made has been unbelievable. And he's such a true visionary. After Shape of Water was nominated for more Academy Awards than any movie in history, took home 4, Del Toro went to the top of the game for everything. He's the most sought after director, but I think it was New Line got a hold of him first and pretty much put him on top of everything sci-fi, fantasy, horror. Said, Del Toro, you're the man. It all goes through you. He's got his plate so full right now. One of the first things he's got coming up that we'll see soon this year is he's bringing to life the old Alan Schwartz books, are Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And they showed little TV spots during the Super Bowl that looked awesome. Like when that kid's hiding underneath the bed and you see those, like, that dead foot coming by, or somebody walking and the toe's missing, and then you hear, "Where's my big toe?" I was like, oh, dude, takes me back to my childhood right there. He's got a lot going on. I mean, he's heading up a lot of projects. One of the things I like about Del Toro is he pushes a lot of people who are up and coming or have the dream. I mean, you look at Andy Muschietti, who did Mama and the first It, and he's doing the second one. Andy did Mama as a short originally that he did on his own before the big movie came out. Del Toro saw it, loved it, and got him in the industry. He's all about finding people and giving them their chance to tell their own stories, which I love about him. But so another big piece of news came out about Del Toro because he's got tons of things going on, but I'm stoked about this. He's done a deal with Netflix and is doing a series called 10 After Midnight. And they're fixing to start. They just rented all the studio space, and they're fixing to start production on it. It's going to be a series of stories. They have not said how many episodes, but it'll be an episodic series, and they're all stories by Del Toro that he's not brought to movie yet. So stories he thought were really good, but it's not had the avenue to bring into a big film.
This could be exciting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's done by Del Toro. It's all Del Toro. Bring it, baby. Like, I'm stoked. So I'm pretty happy about that. Not sure when it comes out, because they just announced this like a day ago that this is finally went into production. So I'm stoked because it reminds me of something like if you imagine, Nickelodeon did Are You Afraid of the Dark, or one of those type of shows, but it's all Del Toro. It's going to be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Did you find anything news-wise that you wanted to go across?
No, I mean, you're hitting everything up pretty good.
So I'm pretty stoked. Oh, actually, one thing, because you scroll through that, Loki will be the first Marvel series on the Disney show. If those who have not heard, they will be doing a Loki series on Disney Plus. Tom Hiddleston has announced he will reprise his role as Loki, which is perfect. But then, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the writers of Rick and Morty are doing the writing for the God of Mischief. Perfect combination right there. Yeah. That hit the news, I think, today. And I saw that. I was like, yes, like this is going to be such a good show. It'll be interesting to see. There's a couple other shows they want to do, but Disney is planning on doing Marvel shows. Even though they've gotten rid of Daredevil and stuff from Netflix, Disney's going to do the Marvel characters on in shows format, which would be great because they got to. DC's
it would be foolish not
to.
I mean, financially, it would be foolish not to.
Well, especially when you look at DC killing it right now. Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that show was amazing. First DC show out the gate in how many years? I mean, you got Gotham and stuff and Arrow, but I mean, full on DC like this is just it was awesome. It was better than anything I've seen in recent years. Gotham's probably the closest thing to it. Except for this season of Gotham, it's probably better than yes, Titans because good night.
Well, I think we've always talked about it as far as the television runs. I think DC's got the upper hand on it.
They always have.
Always
have.
And just waiting for Marvel to come with something. Mm-hmm. And then you thought, well, Daredevil, Punisher, all this stuff coming up, they might make a run for it.
And then it dies.
But Disney's got a bunch of money to put into stuff like this, and so they could give DC a run for their money with this upcoming shows.
So. And doing something like Loki would be cool.
Oh yeah, that would be. I mean, that's a good kicker right there.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what happens with that one. So, but yeah, so that's coming. Of course, now the DC universe, Doom Patrol just started. 2 episodes, 1 episode down, maybe 2. The second one's out or coming out. I have not watched it yet. Need to, because Cyborg has made his appearance. He's in the show. So I'm stoked to see how this is playing out. Then, of course, you got Swamp Thing coming. And then, Stargirl, which looks great, but Swamp Thing, that's all that matters.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's the next one. Season 2 of Titans, Swamp Thing's number 1. So, like I said, there's a lot going on. If you guys have got some news that you want to share that maybe I've missed, throw it up on our Facebook page. Pete, you especially. Man, okay, so Pete's listening. We'll be listening to the show. I have to put an apology out to Pete.
That thing he posted of Godzilla.
Oh man, it was awesome looking.
Unbelievable. I saw that.
It's in like Spanish.
Can't read any of it. Man, did that look good.
He tagged me and I'm like, I wish I could read this because it looks great.
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot going on with Godzilla King of the Monsters because they're ramping up. The first TV spot hit day before yesterday. And dude, I was jonesed after seeing that because I'm a big Highlander fan. Well, you got me into Highlander.
Right.
There can be only one, Like, when that tagline said only one can be king, I was like, where is Queen at right now? Like, I need them rocking some music because this is going, They were pulling straight from Highlander, which I thought was awesome. Released more footage of some of the other Titans that we don't know who they are or what they are. But then we got the end scene there, and towards the end of Rodan and Ghidra flying right at each other. I'm like, dude, this movie, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for Avengers being Avengers and Marvel and Disney, Godzilla King of Monsters would be the best movie of the year next year. It's going to blow everybody away. It will be number 2 because Avengers is going to be number 1. There's just no way around that.
Well, we'll see when this is all said and done.
Dude, it's going to.
I am a Godzilla fan. So.
Yeah, like I want Godzilla to be number 1. It will be number 1 in other countries. Over Avengers, it's gonna be tough because it's gonna be so tight with Avengers. We've talked about it, and some of the other co-hosts and stuff, and people that's been on. I'm pushing Godzilla number 2. Like, it's going to happen because it's going to floor everybody. But the only reason Avengers is going to be better is because it's Avengers. And they just announced too, if those people haven't heard, or announced about a week or so ago, 3 hours. We're looking at a 3-hour runtime. They're talking about doing an intermission for the film because it'll be the first 3-hour film in how many years?
And we're talking Godzilla or
Avengers.
Okay.
Which Sarah was like, my wife was like, why is it so long? I'm like, because you've got 21 films building up to this moment. Like, it started last year, but this is the end. I mean, 3 phases of Marvel films all culminating to this final story, final piece. So it'll be number 1, but Godzilla will be right there at it, and it's going to be awesome. But so anyways, I got to apologize to Pete officially on the show because I got super excited. And Pete has, and I don't know how he's doing this. I don't. He wants to go into Godzilla King of the Monsters completely spoiler free. He's not watched a trailer. He's not read a news article. He won't look at the pictures of the figures that have come out. Nothing. He wants to go in completely just ready for anything. And I was so excited, and I sent the trailer to you, I sent it to Ruben, and I sent it to Pete, and didn't even think about it. And he texts back, he's like, no spoilers, jerk. And I'm like, oh, dude, my bad. So, Pete, this is me officially apologizing. So, anything else news-wise you can think of?
No, you've covered a lot.
Okay. Like I said, there's a lot going on, and as more comes out, man, I'll keep throwing it your all's way. But it's a good time to be a pop culture fan of anything: comic books, giant monsters, horror movies, whatever it is. It's booming. I mean, this industry is really, really booming. So we'll keep you up to date on stuff as things come out. I'll still try and share it on the Facebook page, and we'll do news, I guess, on future ones.
Did I see an animated Alien series?
Oh, yes.
Out?
Thank you. Yes. Okay. So there's been so much up in the air with the Alien franchise because of Disney buying Fox. Because of Disney, said we're going to gear everything towards more family-oriented things, which is great, and I think it's awesome. But where did that leave the more adult franchises like Die Hard, Aliens, Predator? They're not going to put any money into it. What's going to happen? So there may have been a death to that. And unfortunately, Alien Covenant, even though I liked it, didn't do so hot. It was nowhere near as good as what Prometheus did. I actually liked the movie more than Prometheus, but where do you go? Then Ridley jumps off and he's got all these other things going on. So the Alien franchise has kind of been in limbo. Alien Isolation came out several years ago and has been hailed by pretty much all fans as the greatest Alien game there is. And I agree. It's a terrifying game. I mean, it really puts you back to the original film, and but they want to see more because the game is about Amanda Ripley, Ellen's, Sigourney's daughter, and what happens to her going looking for her mom. Well, for the 40th anniversary of Aliens coming up real soon, and they want to do something big. Well, they announced something or did a thing about the Aliens or Alien Isolation that the tagline for it was read, play, watch. Okay, and so they did an article about it. Well, they just recently did an Alien Isolation comic book series about Amanda. That's the read part. Then they just released the mobile game, Blackout, or I can't remember, Alien. It's a new Alien game, but you play Amanda. That's the play part. You got read, play, then watch. And the rumors are there will be an animated series based off of Amanda, which will be interesting because I'm not opposed to an animated series if it's done right. More along the lines like Castlevania or something. But it'll be the first that I know of animated series about aliens completely. You've had little spots of the alien creature showing up in Family Guy or the Planet 51 movie or whatever, but an actual alien series. So yes, the rumor is it's happening.
I thought I read that somewhere or I saw it somewhere, but wasn't sure.
I think it's a great idea. I would love to see it in the movie format because I do think they've pretty much run Ellen Ripley down. I mean, into the ground. I think even Sigourney felt that way too. Especially with Alien 3, when she dies, they should have never done Resurrection.
Right.
I think they just really run that character. With what they've got open so far with Amanda, that's a whole lot of more storytelling you can do that I think would be great and needs to be explored. But so who knows what's going on with aliens right now?
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I would be cool with it. Give us 10 episodes. Just tell us a really cool story. Yeah. But all right. So before we kick into the next topic, it is jukebox time, and I've got some good friends of mine. Used to tour with a band called Awaken. They've got a new record coming out sometime soon. They've really been pushing it and showing little clips, and a truly amazing band. If you like, how do you describe them, man? I mean, they've got feels of like Seven Dust, but Chad's got a very 90s rock voice that's super good, like Audio Slave or Chris Cornell type, I think.
Yeah.
I love their stuff. I love the dudes. I mean, touring with them is probably one of my favorite tours. Any show we did with them was great. I remember we would tour with them, and Cornhole was something we played a lot, and we loved playing that game. So I'm a big fan of these dudes. You know them, pretty well too, and just they've got a new record coming, and there's been a song of theirs I've played it a lot lately. And I thought that'd be perfect for the jukebox, and I'd love to push them and support them. So for those who haven't heard of Awaken, go check them out on Facebook. I'll send some links out to you guys or whatever. Give them a like, listen to the music. You won't be disappointed. Great rock band. So good. Chad and Dustin are some of the best people ever. I mean, I love those dudes to death. But check it out. This is a song called Bleed For You. One of my favorite songs of theirs. This was off the last CD that it did. Echoes, I think, or something like that was called. Sorry, guys, if you listen to it. I don't remember the name. As soon as you released the single online, I started listening to it. But very, very good. Actually, the artwork was done by Matt Hanna from Last Watch, which was another great rock band from Florida that we toured with. Super, super cool dudes, and Matt's an awesome guy. So here it is, Awaken, Bleed For You.
The
today's temporary relief. This is all about tomorrow's permanent release. As they drive the nails into my heart, I know this love is never torn apart. And as they drive the nails into my heart, I will bleed for you. I will bleed
And that was Awaken with Bleed For You. Now I got to make a statement here because I did make the Chris Cornell reference. I don't want to get shot by some people, but I mean, obviously Chad doesn't sound like Chris identically, but he's got that 90s rock tone. That's what I was trying to get across when it comes to, because I love Chad's voice, Chad Griffin, lead singer for Awaken. He's honestly one of my favorite rock voices I've ever heard. Because I think mainly because when I listen to him, I feel like I'm almost a kid again, listen to some of my favorite 90s and early 2000 bands. So but anyways, check them out. Awaken, great band, new album coming out. They'll definitely let you guys know soon. On to the next topic, man. We're going to revisit the DC universe, where it started, what's happened, and what's going to happen, because a lot's changed. So far in the DCEU, of course, it started with Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's version of Superman, which I thought was a great movie. Definitely the best Superman since Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve. Now, of course, people who know me know I'm not the biggest Superman fan, but when it comes to movies, shows, Christopher Reeve was Superman. I mean, when the Donner films were flawless, in my opinion. The first one was unbelievable. The second one with General Zod was just epic, absolutely epic. Have you ever seen the Donner cut of Superman 2?
Not right off.
Oh, man. It's so good. I mean, it's like 40 more minutes long of scenes that don't even have finished special effects. But it's so good, and this directing, the storytelling is so good that you don't even really care that the special effects aren't finished. Superman 2, the Donner cut, is definitely my favorite Superman film by a huge long shot. I think Donner and Christopher Reeve just absolutely nailed it. Like, they nailed Superman perfectly. And Christopher Reeve's still just the best Superman ever, in my opinion. Hated Superman 3 and 4, even though they had Reeves in it. I didn't like those films. What was it? The fourth one, was it a Nuclear Man or Atomic Man or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was terrible. His fingernails were like black. I did not like that movie. I would even no. I was about to make a bold statement. I was about to say Superman Returns was better than that, but no. We're not gonna. We will never forgive Superman Returns. That is the worst Superman film ever. I actually watched a documentary. I've got it on the Plex server now. I think it's called The Death of Superman Lives.
I saw you had it on there.
Oh man, so it's a documentary for those who don't know when it comes to Superman. We'll give a little bit here. There was going to be another film before Superman Returns. It was going to be a 90s film with Tim Burton directing and Nicolas Cage as Superman. Now, if you're a Superman fan or you know anything about him, you've seen pictures of Cage in the suit, and it's a documentary about what happened. And man, when you watch that documentary and you find out what they were going to do, that would have been, I honestly think that would have been the greatest Superman film ever. And there was tons of villains. So Kevin Smith originally wrote the first script, and they're like, put everybody in there in the kitchen sink. So I mean, Doomsday and Brainiac and like everybody, Superman villain was in the movie. Superman dies and come back. They even did a black suit for Nicolas Cage, and it was an interesting take. Nick didn't want the glasses. He was long haired in the movie. He was going to be. Didn't want the glasses, suit, normal dress shirt, Clark Kent. He wanted to do something quite different, so he had made a mention. I remember one thing that he had said to Tim in one of the interviews that you see, because you get to see in that documentary a lot of rare footage. There's video footage of Nick in the suit doing the test set, fittings and things for it. And Tim Burton sitting there, and they had talked about, he's like, well, what about just like a Mickey Mouse shirt, and some jeans, and then like a blazer instead. And so they went and got him the stuff, and you see him in this idea of what he think Clark would look like. And it was amazing. It looked awesome. And the way he was just kind of acting there in this fitting room was super cool. So I think that could have been a great movie. For those who haven't seen it, The Death of Superman Lives, what happened to the film. Definitely try and find it. Check it out. It's really, really good and interesting if you're a Superman fan. I'm not a Superman fan, and I thought it was great. So that should tell you enough. But anyways, back to the DCEU. Start with Man of Steel. Like that best Superman since Superman 2 and the first Superman with Christopher Reeves. I didn't dislike Henry Cavill's Superman. I thought he was great. He was a really good Superman. Man of Steel had its flaws for me, but was a really good movie. Like, that was the first time when he fights Zod and them, the destruction and the fight sequences was the first time I've ever felt like, outside of an animated film, we're seeing the actual true potential of what a real battle with Superman would look like in real life. It was awesome. Awesome. I love the back and forth editing. I love the internal struggle that Clark had. It's Zack Snyder. I loved it. Loved it. What do you think about Man of Steel?
I thought it was good. I liked it better than the Christopher.
Whoa,
Reeves.
dude.
Sorry.
This show just ended. It is over.
I apologize to you now, but that was the first Superman, and probably because of the graphic, all the stuff that was involved with it. But I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it is really good,
and I thought it was. I just thought it was the best to date at the time it came out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. And I mean, far cry better than Superman Returns.
Yeah,
I don't know. That movie's just, man, that was so bad. It's Daredevil was better than Superman Returns. There, I said it. So I mean, Man of Steel came out, kicked off, what would have become the DCEU. Great movie, absolutely loved it. And then we get Batman versus Superman. I watched it the other day. We were talking about this earlier. I watched the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, and it honestly has to be my favorite of the DCEU. I mean, of all the films so far that's been out, it's still my favorite. I think it was unbelievably perfect. I don't like the theatrical version. The studios come in and saying, "Oh, take this out and take that," putting their hands in it. Don't like what came out in the theaters. I mean, it was enjoyable, and I liked the movie, but it wasn't until the Ultimate Edition came out, of what Zack originally had set out to make, that I was like, this is it. This is the best DC Universe film to date. And still, to me, in my opinion, it is, even though Aquaman dominated when it came out. I love, we've talked about it, Affleck's our favorite Batman. Right. Dude killed it as Batman. Every bit of that movie was just super, super good. And to me, it was I kind of liked seeing Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I know that was a big complaint for a lot of people because he's long-haired and he's crazy and just really fidgety and weird. But I liked it. I mean, we got 4 movies of Gene Hackman's real estate Lex Luthor that just got run into the ground. Didn't want to see that again. And of course, I didn't really watch Smallville, but I mean, everyone said he was phenomenal. So you got 10 seasons of that Lex Luthor. You've got these stapled Lex Luthors. I want to see something different. For me, Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor, nope, didn't like it whatsoever. So it was a completely different take, and I enjoyed it. So for me, Batman vs. Superman is still my favorite of the DCEU, but I thought it was a great step forwards in what they were going for. And it was really at the time when it came out, you had Marvel with all these more family-friendly, lighter tone films, and Zack was clearly taking the DC in a different route, a more edgier, darker tone, which has worked perfect for all their TV shows. Perfect for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think it was great. What would you think about Batman vs. Superman?
Definitely something that DC needed at the time because they were lacking this competing with Marvel. Mm-hmm. They were really lacking. So they needed something to boost them up and jump up, and they hit it with that movie. And obviously probably my favorite also of the DC universe movies out today.
Oh yeah. Well, then introducing Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman too. I mean, she is. I love I can't think of her name. The old Wonder Woman TV series. completely drawn a blank.
Yeah, and I can see her. I
I
can't
know,
remember what her name is.
I mean, I love that show. I remember watching that show on when I was a kid, come on Nick at Night, TV Land or whatever. That was a great show, but Gal Gadot is, dude, she's Wonder Woman. I mean, like she killed that role, and so good. I mean, I remember when you get to the Doomsday shows up and Batman and Superman sitting there, and she shows up for the first time in the suit, and that music starts playing, dude. And there's the three of them, the three biggest names of DC, all together for the first time on screen. Man, I mean, I came out of my chair when I saw that in the theaters.
And I think her name is Linda Carter.
Linda Carter, yes, that's right. Linda Carter was a great Wonder Woman at the time, but I mean, if you compare the two, no way, man. Gal Gadot, she kills it. So, so we go from that to we've got. Wonder Woman came out, and man, set in 84. Was it 84 that? No, it was earlier than that. It was World War II or whatever. The next one's in the 80s. Oh my gosh, dude. That movie and her going up against her brother, who happens to be Ares, that whole final fight sequence was just, that movie was awesome.
Fantastic.
Oh, man.
Fantastic.
I mean, I think probably all in all, better than Justice League or Man of Steel or Batman. I still like Batman Superman better, but as an overall film, man, that was just, I felt like when it came out, they really kind of stepped the bar up more with that one. I'm going, man, we can really make truly amazing movies to compete with Marvel with something like this, and Patty, I can't remember the director's name, she did a phenomenal job. I cannot wait for the next Wonder Woman. 1984 is what it's called. Comes out, I think, later this year. Stoked for it. Did you like? I mean, you liked Wonder Woman.
Loved it,
man, dude. That was, to me, that's the best female hero movie that's ever been. I mean, there's not really that many of them, but it's the best. I still think it'll be better than Captain Marvel, even though Captain Marvel's gonna be great. I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be a great movie. Don't think it'll be as good as Wonder Woman. But then we went from that to Justice League, and Justice League, I think, is where things kind of started to turn a little bit. Because obviously Zach and his family went through the tragedy of losing their daughter during the filming of the movie, and he stepped away. And you can really tell, to me, when I'm watching that movie, that you can tell the scenes where Joss Whedon stepped in. DC brought him over after doing the Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. They brought him over to finish the movie to bring a little bit lighter tone, because they were getting a lot of kind of flack of them being too dark compared to the Marvel ones, even though I personally think Zach was, the universe he was building to go up against Darkseid would have been absolutely unbelievable. I wish he'd have just kept it Zach's way and kept letting him run with it. But you can really tell the moments where Zach's not there and Joss is. And for me, it made the movie kind of fight against itself. I like Justice League, but there's those moments where sitting back, as much as I watch movies and go, this is Zach, and then go, oh, this is Joss. There was the chemistry was a little off, not from the characters, but as far as the filming was just a little off, because there was times you can tell there's a different director, and that's hard to not do. That's really hard to not do when you got Zack Snyder. Batman vs. Superman, 300, Sucker Punch, going to Joss Whedon. 90s pop Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Avengers, 1 and 2. That's where I felt it hurt the film. Still a great movie. I still enjoyed it. I did not like Steppenwolf. I felt the design, when you watch the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, you find after they beat Doomsday, they go back in the ship and they find Lex in the gene pool, and there's that image, 3D image of Steppenwolf. That Steppenwolf right there was Zack Snyder's design. Looked so much better than Steppenwolf in Justice League, in my opinion. Steppenwolf was a cool character, but there wasn't enough layout for Steppenwolf to build up to Darkseid. I just felt it was kind of lackluster. Still a great movie. The Flash was awesome. He was great.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, now Batman, Wonder Woman, all the characters were great, and I loved them all. Aquaman, Jason Momoa, dude, he came on the scene, and you knew you found him, because that was a hard thing too. I mean, to fill Aquaman, because you got to have Aquaman in Justice League. He's one of the biggest names for DC. But man, you cannot do, well, no, they did. You know what I mean? That golden green suit. I was like, when I watched Justice League or knew they were coming up, I was like, dude, there's just no way. Like, they're not going to be able to make Aquaman, look cool or anything. Jason Momoa absolutely killed it.
You can go ahead and say it now that you did contact me after the Aquaman
I knew he was going to bring this up. Man.
To tell me how great it was after you made fun of me for all those years because growing up, Aquaman was my favorite.
So, okay, so I'm 33. You're what,
57.
57. So my entire life, me and Mark, we've always been movie buddies and concert buddies and all these things that we enjoy together. And I've always made fun of him for Aquaman because it's Aquaman, dude. He talks to fish. SpongeBob clearly makes fun of him with Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man.
And just to clarify that the water he does make that statement in
yeah. Because they didn't want to make him sound stupid. Yeah. That's what it was. Powers of SpongeBob. But so I go see Aquaman, and I had to. I couldn't not do it. So I had to call Mark and tell him my opinion on the film. And again, not my favorite. But
at the time, what did you say?
Well, and I gotta agree with it still to this point, even though I don't want to. The best of the DC films to date.
And the crowd roars.
Oh, dude, you went nuts when I called you. Wait, what? It is, man. Aquaman, and it topped. It's the highest grossing DC film, period. Now at this point, it did better than The Dark Knight. That made huge. It did well over $1 billion. When they did Aquaman, that movie is borderline flawless of a film. It was amazing. Momoa kills it as Aquaman. As Arthur Curry, dude, they could have not found a better guy to play Arthur Curry than Aquaman. Every bit of that movie was great. My only complaint of the film, I don't know if I remember if I talked to you about it or I was talking to somebody about it, was Black Manta. I loved his brother being the main bad guy, and it was it was really cool. But I felt like because of that, and them having to feel like they had to put Black Manta in there because he was the only character in Aquaman's that I halfway enjoyed. I loved the way he looked. I loved his abilities. It was taking a normal human down to Aquaman's world who could kind of go toe to toe with Aquaman. Not so much in the movie, and he's only in it minute amounts. I felt like he was very downplayed. Now when he's on scene, it's awesome. It is so awesome seeing Black Man on scene. But that was my only complaint in the movie was just I felt like they should have made him the main villain. But I see why they made his brother the main villain because he's got to come back and become king of Atlantis and things like that. But I really wish Black Manta was more forefront or in it more than he was. But and the numbers don't lie.
Well, that just made my night that he had to publicly state that because he hadn't done that. He only did it talking to me on the phone. But now
it's forever there.
Now it's public.
It's forever there.
That's right.
Batman vs. Superman is my favorite of the DCEU, but Aquaman, it's the best of the DCEU. Definitely. So not better than Superman 2 Donner Cut, even though I'm not a Superman fan. That's still the best DC film. But for the DCEU, yes. I'll secede.
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. So all right. So we've gotten it built up to this point. The next big part for this was going to be the Batman, which originally Affleck was writing, directing, and starring in, and it's gone through some troubles. Not really troubles. It's just Affleck felt like he wouldn't do the character of the movie justice if he did all three things. So he stepped back from directing and to just writing the film and starring as Batman. But then he couldn't come up with something he felt was good enough for the character or the story, so they kind of passed the writing down as well to another writer. So he kind of stepped back from that. And so everyone started going, oh no, is Affleck leaving because he's such a great Batman? And then they bring in Matt Reeves, who I think is probably, other than bringing in someone like Del Toro, who would be like a Tim Burton type Batman, just better, Matt Reeves is probably honestly the best choice they could have brought in. Because when you look at anything Matt's done, it's phenomenal. Especially the Planet of the Apes series. What he did with the Planet of the Apes trilogy was unbelievable. And I don't think you could get a better guy directing a Batman film. Right. So they bring him in. And then there was words about, things being said about the differences between what Matt's vision was and what Ben's vision was, and is Ben going to continue, and a lot of back and forth. Well, it's officially been announced Ben's not Batman. He's stepped away. No more Ben Affleck Batman, which is a huge bummer, because I feel like we just didn't get enough of him because he was so good as Batman. But still exciting because we're getting another Batman movie, and Matt Reeves is taking over. And Matt Reeves, it's going to be absolutely awesome. He stated it's going to be a younger Batman, which is the main reason why Ben has stepped back, because it's going to be a much younger Batman, more in his early years. It's going to be a noir type film, and he's really going to bring back, because you haven't seen it in a long time. So I think it's a great idea, because in the movies, if you didn't know Batman was the greatest detective on the planet, you wouldn't know in the movies. Because the last time you see Batman doing any true detective work was Tim Burton's Batman. When Michael Keaton's in a cave doing the research and things like that. You don't really have that anymore. And we kind of forget that's what it is. He didn't come out in the Batman comic books. He came out in Detective Comics. And he is Bruce Wayne, yes, is Batman, but he's that's his true superpower, other than being rich, as Affleck says in the movie. He's the greatest detective on the planet, and that's kind of gone away. I can't think of a time in a film. Can you, of him being a detective?
No.
Other than the little bit in Tim Burton's. So he's wanting to bring that back and really bring that into the film. So I think it's a great idea. I'm super excited for it. Matt Reeves is a phenomenal director, and it's going to be an absolutely amazing movie. But that begs the question, what's going to happen? Because not only has Affleck stepped away from being Batman, Henry Cavill has stepped away and is no longer Superman. So we know we've got Wonder Woman coming, that we still, at the moment, have the Flash coming. And it's supposed to be still supposedly, the Flashpoint paradox, or Flashpoint is what it's going to be, which will be super cool to see. But they've pushed it back. Originally supposed to be like 2019, this year, but now it's not going to be till next year. So we've got Wonder Woman coming. We still technically have Flash coming. There's obviously going to be an Aquaman sequel. You can't make that much money and there not be a sequel. They're actually doing a spinoff too of the Trench. My favorite scene in Aquaman was when he goes through the Trench Kingdom, and you got all those H.P. Lovecraft like looking monsters coming at him and her on and Mara on the boat and attacking them. I loved that. That was my favorite part of the movie. And they've announced they are doing a horror movie spinoff about the Trench, about that kingdom. So I can't wait for that. It's going to be so cool. But where does that leave it? You started Justice League with Steppenwolf, building to Darkseid, which Darkseid would stomp Thanos, by the way, unless he had Infinity Gauntlet. But now you've lost Batman, you've lost Superman. What do you do? Where do you go? What happens? Because you can't continue that. I don't see how.
DC's been haunted with that forever when it comes to Superman and Batman. And we talked earlier about how many different Batmans have come through, and it makes it difficult. And obviously as years go by and they get older, obviously you got to make a change,
right?
But at the rate they're having to change, makes it very, very difficult. And I think that's hurt them as far as the movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they go here.
You're right. You've had more Batmans than anybody else. Not including you can go way back to the 40s. But let's just start with Adam West. So you got Adam West, you've got Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, which we can just pretend he never was Batman. Christian Bale. Then you've got
Did you get
Ben
Val
Affleck.
Kilmer in there?
Huh?
Yeah, Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Affleck. So that's 6 major Batmans right there. Different Batmans. You look at Superman, you've had Christopher Reeve, Brandon Routh, which we'll forget about because it's Superman Returns, and then Henry Cavill. You've got 3. One Aquaman, 2 Wonder Womans, 1 Flash, 1 Cyborg. Batman's gone through a lot, and
right.
To remove him, what do you do? Because they're at a point they can't do a reboot because you got another Wonder Woman coming. There's going to be another Aquaman.
Yeah.
and you've temporarily got the Flash, which I think they would. I think what they should. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it unless they do a reboot. I mean, because you can't do another Justice League at this point. There's no way to do another Justice League unless Cavill comes back and somehow Bruce is gone and bring in Damian or Dick Grayson to fill the cow. You know what I mean? Because there's no other way at that point unless you just reboot it all. But then you can't reboot it until you get another Wonder Woman out and get another Aquaman out. Don't do the Flash and restart after that.
That would be tough.
Oh,
that would be tough.
Unbelievably tough. But then again, I mean, take the Star Wars route. Just do Solo. You know, after then this next Star Wars film comes out this year will be the end of the Skywalker storyline, which is fine. We've got 9 films, of Skywalker movies. They're going to keep going down the route of doing solo films, not about Han Solo, but individual stories. There'll be another trilogy. It's going to be completely separate from Skywalker eventually. There's more stories that can be told. So, I mean, DC can go that route of just making stories, bring us the Batman, you know what I mean, and let it do its thing, like the Dark Knight trilogy or whatever it may be, or maybe a solo film. Who knows? Let Wonder Woman and Aquaman run its course, and then somewhere maybe do a restart. I feel like they've just gotten themselves into too big of a mess to pull out.
But they got to have Justice League.
Yeah.
You know, that has to be. You know, that's their Avengers. I mean, they have to have it.
Oh, yeah, because
there's too much there. And so you're right. And it's going to take years down the road to do that again. And you're talking about all new actors.
Yep.
By the time they get to another Justice League, if you go the route what you're talking right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you'd have to start it all over. I don't see how they do it.
Yeah.
But because you're right, they have to have Justice League.
Yeah.
You're always going to have Avengers films from here on out.
Right.
They'll not stop doing them. Because, I mean, at the end of this one, we're going to lose some Avengers. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, Tony Stark's done. Steve Rogers is out. I mean, Thor's out. You're going to move into new characters. Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, hopefully, would be pretty cool to keep going. I don't see War Machine continuing much further. Scarlet Witch. I mean, you've got new characters. There's always going to be Avengers films.
Right.
Marvel will keep that going. If DC wants to compete, they've got to have Justice League.
Yes.
You got to.
Yes.
And there's too many good stories to not do Justice League with them. I think it would be wrong. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like they've dug themselves in quite a big hole. How do they dig themselves out?
And I think I watched Justice League just the other night and really got me pumped up on wanting to see a Flash movie because his character in there is great and it kind of helps now losing Affleck. Give me that Flash, give me the Flash, give me Aquaman, give me Wonder Woman. I mean, those are there. And can move from it, but I don't know how you can go with another Justice League movie without Batman, without Superman.
Because because they're the founders.
Yeah,
they started Justice League. I mean, obviously, we still got Cyborg. He's still available. We've got all of them, but I mean, I can't see them doing it unless Cavill comes back and they somehow write Bruce out of the role. Because you can't just replace him and continue on.
Well, then the understanding I'm hearing in the news is they're wanting a younger Batman.
Yeah, for Matt Reeves, the Batman that's coming out in 2021, younger.
Completely cuts off Justice League.
Yeah,
because Batman can't go back and get younger with a Justice League movie.
No, there's no way.
Yeah, so
I mean, it had to be separate. Or the only way it would work if that movie's successful, which I mean it's going to be, it's Batman, and you got Matt Reeves directing, is if you bring Flash, the next Flash movie, and they do the Flashpoint paradox or the Flashpoint film. Okay, we know that he changes the timeline. Because when he goes into the future or changes the timeline, and saves his mom, Batman's in it, but it's not Batman. It's not Bruce. It's Thomas.
Right.
His dad.
Yes.
Guns blazing and everything.
Yeah.
And he's brutal because in that one storyline, Bruce died. Bruce was killed, not Thomas.
Yes.
Bruce and Martha died. So if he goes through the Flashpoint film, goes back and fixes everything, Okay, we know how the timeline works. We've seen it in the Flash series and Legends, and we know from the comics how it splits up and the different timelines and parallel universes you have. They could, if they're smart and can write it right, they can take the younger Batman of the Batman that's coming out with Matt Reeves with the Flashpoint movie, and when he has to go through and refix time, when he comes back to the timeline that we have Justice League, Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Batman's not as old as them. It's been changed and affected because he died. His parents died in one timeline. He dies in the other one. He goes to fix it. You bring in a younger Bruce Wayne, and the Justice League has not formed yet.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility, right?
So maybe there you go, DC. I just gave you your answer.
There you go. They've got work to do.
Oh, big time, because I want to see them succeed. I mean, they're going to continue to succeed with the TV shows because they have. Granted, Flash right now has kind of got me bummed out because it's probably the most lackluster season I've seen yet. They threw too much in the pot on this one. I'm stoked for the next episode because you got Gorilla Grodd going up with King Shark. I'm like, yes, something entertaining, but it's still a great show. They'll always be strong on TV. They always have,
right?
And so that'll never go. But I mean, they've got to fix the TV and the movie stuff, and I want to see them succeed because there's too many great characters to not have on a big screen.
Exactly.
Well, and then Green Lantern Corps. There's supposed to be a Green Lantern movie coming out, not solely about Hal Leonard, but about the entire Green Lantern Corps itself. So I've not heard that they pulling the plug on that, because it'd be great to see, because I mean, if you remember in the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs Superman, you do see some of the Green Lanterns when they're doing the flashback scene talking about Steppenwolf, and I thought it was just great to see a Lantern, even though he gets pwned pretty quick and real quick by Steppenwolf. But I don't know, we'll see. You guys listening, let us know what you think. Theories, ideas, what happens. I want to see what happens. Because
is there a Green Arrow?
Not yet,
coming
man.
I haven't heard anything either.
And man, I don't know why. Because if it wasn't Green Arrow,
character.
My favorite, DC character next to Batman. Well, it would be Arrow, then Batman.
Yeah.
But I think it would be phenomenal. I mean, we wouldn't have the DC shows we have right now if it wasn't for Arrow.
Right.
Because I mean, I think they kind of forgot how big of a character he was as a staple. I mean, he was part of the Justice League.
Right.
He took down Superman. He's huge. He's got his own villains that are top notch. I mean, you got characters that came from Arrow. You look at the Birds of Prey, Huntress, Black Canary.
Oh yeah,
all came from Green Arrow. The fight and the history between him and Ra's al Ghul, I think, is every bit as good as Batman's.
Just have to, I don't know, cross our fingers and hope.
We'll see. Yeah. Well, they also announced there's going to be a Blue Beetle film. They're going to be doing it. So, I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing, because now they're not doing Dan, the original one that you grew up with, but I fell in love with because my first comic, which I still have, was a Blue Beetle comic. It's going to be Jamie Rees, the newer Blue Beetle, which will be still pretty cool to see. I mean, because his suit's awesome. He's got more powers than Dan and the second Blue Beetle, Todd, or whatever his name was. I can't remember. Todd Grant, Tim Grant, something like that.
I think I don't know.
So they got that coming. Where's that going to fit in?
Yeah.
Is that going to be one of the offshoots like, Birds of Prey or Suicide Squad? Because we got another Suicide Squad coming. We got Birds of Prey coming. Joker coming out this October, which I've heard and what I've read from what people said on, the set is that Joaquin Phoenix absolutely destroyed that role. They said he was amazing.
I could see that.
He's weird.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see
I think I saw him on an episode of David Letterman's show that he was just like on another planet somewhere. I mean, just absolutely crazy. And it made you kept thinking, wow, this dude, he'd make a perfect Joker.
So I'm actually kind of excited to see him play the role. We've got Leto coming back as Joker too. So they've got a lot of stuff going, and if they keep in this direction,
it just seems disorganized.
Oh,
to me.
unbelievable!
And they just need to bring it in where Marvel's got their stuff.
Well, I mean they do because you've got Kevin Feige, who's he was editor in chief and CEO at Marvel Comics, and now he's in charge of everything Marvel, movie, TV, everything. of course, he's got his team with him.
Right.
But, I mean, you've got one man seen it all. You've definitely they've really put too many chiefs in roles in the DC universe that it's made a big mess. I mean, it's a huge mess. I mean, give it to Greg from Greg Berlanti and his crew that's done Arrow and Flash. Dude, hand the ball to him. Let him run with it, because I think he would be stellar in the DCEU. You know what I mean? Let him fix it. I think he could.
Hopefully we'll see it.
We will. Hopefully. I'm believing, because I want to see them succeed. So, all right. Well, that is wraps it up for another episode of SludgeCast. We appreciate you guys listening. Thank you so much. Do remember, hopefully you guys want or listen to the Monster Movie Stompdown this month. We did The Thing. We will be back next month with another Monster Movie Stompdown. And, of course, another episode with Adam Sadler, the Sarge from The Protest, as we do Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. That's going to be a pretty sweet episode, because we're pumping up for Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Can't wait for that one.
Oh, it's going to be so good. So, all right, this is Sludge.
And this is Mark. Thanks for having me tonight.
Hey, not a problem. Y'all have a good night.
There's no place the nails into